It was winter. Tom, the cobbler, was busy repairing shoes in his small shop under a tree. His shop, without a roof and walls, was situated under a bare tree in the middle of a clean field in the center of the village. The shop's only asset was a wooden chest. When Tom finished his work, he would lock all his things in the chest, thus closing the shop. It was noon, and the sun was shining overhead, but Tom still felt cold. He had wrapped an old woolen shawl around his body, yet his hands and feet were freezing from the cold. He was the only cobbler in the village. All the villagers brought their worn-out shoes to him for repair, so he never had a moment to sit idle. He worked from morning till evening. Tom was a poor man, but he had no trace of greed. He knew that the villagers had low incomes and struggled to make ends meet. Like the other villagers, Tom was illiterate, but he understood their poverty, so he didn't charge much for repairing shoes. It wasn't always money that he received in return for his services. Some villagers paid him with chickens, eggs, wheat, vegetables, and jaggery. Once, he made new shoes for a villager's 2 children, and in return, the villager gave him a goat. Because of that goat, Tom and his family had an easy supply of milk. Tom lived in the village with his wife, Sarah, and their 2 daughters. To run the household, he had to work hard. Sarah was a very good and hard-working woman. She helped Tom by dyeing the leather used in the shoes and also worked in the fields of the village landlords, earning some extra money. Their combined efforts kept the household running. Their 2 daughters were still young and attended the village's makeshift school. Tom and Sarah didn't let them do any work, insisting that they only focus on their studies. Despite this, the girls helped with small chores around the house, making it easier for Sarah. Tom's house hadn't been repaired in a long time. There were 3 rooms in his house, and their roofs had become dilapidated. When it rained, water started leaking into the rooms. Tom was worried, thinking about what would happen if the rain started in the winter. He had started saving money to repair the roofs before the rains began, but he had only managed to save a little so far. To achieve this goal, he now worked until sunset to earn some extra money for the roof repairs. After a short while, his wife Sarah arrived with his lunch. She also brought a large 3-legged stand with burning wood in it. Tom was delighted to see his wife, the food, and the fire stand. He said, "Sarah, bless you. You've done a wonderful job. How did you know I was feeling cold?" Sarah blushed at the compliment and happily replied, "Tom, it's as cold at home as it is here. I thought you must be working in the cold, so I brought the fire with me." Saying this, Sarah opened the lunch and placed it in front of him. She said, "Tom, you eat. I'll go home now, as the girls will be coming back from school soon. I need to feed them too." Tom said, "All right, you go. But Sarah, know that you endure a lot for my sake, and it pains me that I haven't been able to give you any comfort. Just wait and see. Once the roof repairs are done, I'll save money again and get you gold earrings and bangles." His wife replied, "You work hard for us from morning till evening. I am grateful to God that I am very content. Our daughters are getting an education. I don't need earrings or bangles. Now it's their turn to wear such things." Tom nodded, washed his hands with the water from a jug, and began eating. His wife went back home. Tom quickly finished his meal and resumed his work. It wasn't long before he saw Jack coming from a distance. Jack lived in a nearby house and worked at a brick kiln. He had a bag in his hand. When he got closer, he placed the bag on Tom's wooden chest and sat cross-legged on the ground. Tom set aside the shoe he was repairing and said, "Brother Jack, what brings you here?" Jack said quietly, "The day after tomorrow, the family from another village is coming to see my eldest daughter for marriage, so I brought these shoes for repair. It would be embarrassing to go in front of them with these torn shoes." He extended his foot as he spoke. Tom saw that the shoes Jack was wearing were extremely shabby and worn out. Tom silently picked up the bag in which Jack had brought the shoes for repair. These shoes were also in terrible condition. The upper leather was old but not torn. When he turned them over, he saw that both soles were split. Tom's experienced fingers touched the leather and realized that they were made from deer hide, which is very soft, strong, and durable. Another thing Tom noticed was that although deer hide shoes are usually lightweight, these seemed unusually heavy. He didn't pay much attention to this. When Jack saw Tom engrossed in the shoes, he became worried. He feared that seeing the shoes in such bad condition, Tom might refuse to repair them. So, with great humility, he said, "Brother Tom, these shoes are very old. I found them among some old belongings at home. These shoes belonged to my grandfather and were in great condition once. After his death, my elder brother wore them and made them this way. If it weren't for my daughter's engagement, I would never have brought such tattered shoes to you. It's a matter of honor." Hearing this, Tom felt saddened. He said, "These shoes are made from deer hide, and deer hide shoes are very valuable. Your grandfather must have been quite wealthy." Jack said proudly, he was a great landlord. Much of the land in this village belonged to him. After his death, my father sold all the land and squandered the money on his friends. Had he been prudent, we wouldn't be in this situation. Sensing Jack's embarrassment, Tom reassured him, "Don't worry, I will make these shoes look so good that people will be amazed." Hearing this, Jack lowered his eyes and said, "And Brother Tom, there's one more thing. I'll pay you for the repairs later. Right now, I haven't even arranged food for the guests. I am going to see the owner of the kiln where I work. Maybe he will lend me some money, and I can arrange the food." Tom said, "Look, Brother Jack, your daughter is like my own daughter. Don't worry about anything. Whether the kiln owner lends you money or not, just come to me. I have some money saved up. I've been saving it for repairing the roof, but that can wait. Consider this money as your own. You go ahead and prepare the meal for the guests." Hearing Tom's sympathetic and loving words, Jack's heart filled with gratitude, and his eyes became moist. He left, giving Tom his blessings. Since it was a matter of a village daughter's marriage, Tom put aside other shoe repairs and focused on Jack's shoes. The soles of the shoes were beyond repair. They were not only badly worn out but also split into two parts in the middle. Tom took out the most expensive soles from his wooden chest, which he usually used for the shoes of the village's wealthy landlords. Then, he got to work. By evening, the shoes were ready. Tom had put a lot of effort into them, and they looked brand new. He locked all his things in the wooden chest, picked up Jack's shoe bag, and headed home. During this entire process, Tom had a peculiar expression on his face, with suppressed excitement and a serious demeanor. His steps quickened towards home, as if he wanted to reach there as soon as possible. Upon reaching home, he placed the shoe bag aside. His daughters were playing outside in the alley with other children. Sarah was cooking dinner. Tom called out to her. When she came, he showed her Jack's shoes and then quietly started telling her something. Listening to Tom, Sarah's eyes sparkled with surprise. After finishing his story, Tom put his hand in his pocket, took out a small bundle of old cloth, and showed it to Sarah. The bundle contained many shining diamonds and small gold bricks. Sarah was both astonished and delighted at the sight. Tom said, "Now we will go to Jack's house. The girls are playing outside in the alley, so dim the stove's fire. We will be back soon." Shortly after, Tom and Sarah reached Jack's house. Jack was at home, looking very worried and concerned. He welcomed Tom and Sarah with respect. His wife and daughters also came and sat with them. Once everyone was seated, Jack told Tom that the kiln owner had refused to lend him any money and had insulted him, saying he always comes begging for a loan. Tom said, "Jack, God is very merciful and gracious. Now, I am going to tell you all a strange and wonderful story. After hearing it, you will all be very happy." Hearing this, Jack's wife and daughters looked at him with surprise and interest. Sarah was already aware of the story, so she wasn't surprised. Jack didn't understand anything and listened to Tom with his mouth open. Seeing their curiosity and confusion, Sarah was smiling. Tom began, "Jack, your grandfather was a very wealthy man. When I inspected his shoes, I found these things in the heels." He took out the same small bundle of cloth and placed it on the reed chair. Everyone stared at the bundle in amazement. When Jack opened the bundle, they were all stunned to see the diamonds and small gold bricks inside. Tom handed the bundle to Jack and said, "I believe your grandfather hid this wealth in his shoes to keep it safe from thieves and robbers." Seeing so much wealth before him, Jack's reaction was priceless. He stared at the bundle with wide eyes. His wife was so happy that she started crying out loud. After they calmed down a bit, Jack held Tom's hands and started crying. "Brother Tom, you are not a human. You are an angel," he said. "I will never forget this kindness for the rest of my life. There isn't another honest man like you in the whole village." Tom replied, "Jack, I am just happy that your daughter's fortune brought this wealth to you. Now you are a very rich man in this village. Sell these items and use the money to first marry off your daughter, then start a good business." After a while, Tom and Sarah got up to leave for home. On the way, Sarah said, "Tom, who taught you such honesty? You could have hidden this treasure if you wanted. No one would have known. You could have used the money to fix the roof, make gold jewelry for me, and enroll our daughters in a good school in the nearby town instead of the village." Tom laughed at her words, then puffed out his chest and said, "Our roof will be repaired, your jewelry will be made, and our daughters will go to school not just in the town but even in the city. And I will do all this with the money I earn from my own hard work." Hearing this, Sarah beamed and said, "And my daughters are very fortunate to have such a good father and for me to have such a good husband." Hearing her praise, Tom felt shy and, to hide his embarrassment, pretended to be angry and said, "Sarah, walk faster. I'm hungry. I want to eat as soon as we get home." Sarah understood that Tom was feeling shy because of her compliments. She smiled and started walking faster.